Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Viktor Frankl. Have you ever had a moment where something small, a spilled drink, a careless comment, a delayed reply, made your entire mood unravel? You weren't planning to get angry, but suddenly your chest tightens, your voice sharpens, and something deep inside takes over. A force that feels bigger than you. Anger. It sneaks in quietly, but burns loudly. Maybe it's the colleague who constantly interrupts you. Maybe it's the driver who cuts you off, or a loved one who doesn't understand your silence. Whatever the cause, anger doesn't ask permission, it just takes. And then when it's gone, we're left with the wreckage, the regret, the exhaustion, the question, why did I let that get to me? But what if it didn't have to be this way? What if you could remain calm, not cold but clear, even when chaos knocks? The Stoics believed you could. In this video, we'll explore 6 powerful Stoic practices that will help you not only manage anger, but transcend it. We'll uncover the quiet strength that lies beyond reaction, the kind of strength that makes you magnetic, unshakable, and deeply at peace. Because anger isn't just an emotion, it's a choice. And once you master that choice, you start mastering your life. Let's begin. Anger is a short madness. Horus anger often feels like strength. It feels powerful, assertive, like fire shooting from your chest, clearing the room, demanding respect. But that's an illusion. In truth, anger burns the one who carries it far more than the one it targets. It steals your clarity, your dignity, and most tragically, your peace. Think about the last time you truly lost your temper, the moment your voice rose, the adrenaline rushed. Maybe it felt good for a second, but afterward, regret, embarrassment, exhaustion. There's a man named Eli you might relate to. Every morning, Eli woke up tense. He wasn't a bad person, just burdened. His boss ignored him. His partner seemed distant. Traffic always made him snap. Day after day, he exploded over small things, believing they deserved it. Until one day he shouted at his daughter for accidentally spilling juice. Her face crumpled, not from the mess, but from the fear. And in that moment, something shattered inside him. That's when he realized anger wasn't strength, it was weakness in disguise. The Stoics knew this well. They taught that anger blinds judgment and severs relationships. Marcus Aurelius warned, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? To the Stoics, the real danger of anger wasn't what it did to others, but what it did to you. Modern science agrees. Chronic anger leads to heart disease, high blood pressure, insomnia. It damages your body the way resentment corrodes metal, slowly, silently, irreversibly. But it doesn't have to. You see, you are not your reactions. You are the space between the trigger and the response. That moment of pause, that breath, is where your power lives. The next time someone cuts you off or says something cruel, ask yourself, is this moment worth my peace? Because anger unchecked is never just about the present, it's a chain reaction. And every time you choose not to ignite, you break the chain. The Stoics didn't ask us to suppress our feelings. They asked us to understand them, to meet our anger not with shame, but with inquiry. What is this anger trying to protect? Is it pride, fear, insecurity? Once you see it clearly, you can begin to disarm it. And that's not weakness. That is quiet strength. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. There's a simple truth most people overlook. We rarely pause long enough to ask why we're angry. We lash out, we stew, we vent, but we don't reflect. Reflection is what transforms a moment of rage into a lesson. It's what turns blind reaction into conscious response. It is, as the Stoics believed, the very foundation of emotional mastery. Let's meet Maya. She worked in a fast-paced corporate world where emotions ran high and praise ran low. After a rough client call, her manager snapped at her in front of the team. Maya felt the sting rise up, heart racing, fists clenching. Her instinct screamed, defend yourself, say something, don't stay silent. But instead of reacting, she did something different. She closed her laptop, stepped outside, and asked herself, what part of me is hurt right now? My pride, my fear of being seen as incompetent? She realized It wasn't the words themselves, it was her inner critic agreeing with them. That moment of reflection changed everything. Self-reflection to the Stoics was not self-criticism, it was self-awareness. Seneca urged us to review our day each night, not to judge but to learn. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I do tomorrow? This practice creates emotional distance. It teaches us to observe our anger rather than become it. You begin to notice patterns, how certain situations, certain people trigger the same emotional spiral. And instead of blaming the world, you start adjusting your reactions. That's real power. In today's world, we're taught to move on quickly, to scroll past our feelings, to suppress and distract. But reflection asks us to pause, to feel, to understand. And this pause, it's where transformation begins. Try it tonight. Ask yourself, what triggered me today? Was my reaction aligned with who I want to be? What would the calmest version of me have done? You'll be amazed at the clarity that follows. Because reflection doesn't just change how we see the world, it changes how we see ourselves. And when you know yourself, anger loses its grip. You don't have to suppress it. You simply understand it and let it go. Like storm clouds passing over a still lake, your mind can remain undisturbed. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. Have you ever noticed how quickly a single moment can hijack your entire day? Someone cuts in line, your phone dies in the middle of an important call. A snide remark lingers in your mind like smoke after a fire. Suddenly, your whole mood shifts. You're tense, distracted, snapping at people who didn't even cause the spark. This is the trap of unconscious living, when external events dictate your internal state. Mindfulness breaks that trap. But let's be clear, mindfulness isn't just meditation on a mat. It's the art of being present, of choosing your response in the space between trigger and reaction. And for the Stoics, this wasn't a luxury, it was survival. Meet Daniel. He used to drive to work in a blur, stuck in traffic, yelling at drivers, stressed before even clocking in. But one day he heard something simple on a podcast. You don't control the world, you only control your response. So, the next time someone cut him off, he paused. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "This isn't about me." That breath changed his whole morning. The Stoics taught us that external events are indifferents. They happen. They exist. But they hold no power over our minds unless we hand it to them. Mindfulness is how we hold that power. It asks, what am I feeling right now? Where is this coming from? Is this emotion useful or is it just noise? Imagine how your life would change if you asked those questions in real time. At work, when a colleague interrupts you. At home, when your child throws a tantrum. Online, when a stranger posts something cruel. The power isn't in winning those moments. It's in witnessing them, fully, calmly, without losing your center. And it's not about being numb. You still feel, you just don't feed the fire. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that mindful breathing, just 5 deep, conscious breaths, can lower cortisol, slow your heart rate, and re-engage the prefrontal cortex, the brain's decision maker. In other words, mindfulness helps you stay you, not your anger, not your fear, not your ego. Try this. Next time frustration rises, pause. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale gently through your mouth. Feel your body. Come back to this moment, because this moment is where peace lives, and you don't need to earn it. You just need to return to it again and again. That is the practice. That is the path. That is presence. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu. We live in a world addicted to noise, notifications, deadlines, voices telling you to hustle harder, do more, respond faster. In this constant motion, silence feels uncomfortable, even threatening. But the Stoics saw it differently. To them, stillness wasn't laziness. It was clarity. It was power. They understood something we've forgotten, that real growth doesn't always make a sound. Let me tell you about Sophia. Sophia was a mother, a manager, a mentor, always solving problems, always available. But one evening after a long day, she sat on the couch, turned off her phone, and simply listened. Not to music, not to a podcast, just to the hum of her breath, the quiet rhythm of existence. At first it was strange, but then peace. And in that space, clarity emerged. Thoughts she had buried, emotions she had numbed, desires she had silenced. The stillness spoke. This is what the Stoics practiced in their own way. Marcus Aurelius would retreat to write and reflect, even as Emperor of Rome. Seneca described stillness as retiring into oneself, because they knew without stillness, reaction rules. But with stillness, reflection reigns. Stillness helps you. Catch your breath before your words. Hear the whisper beneath the shout. See the truth behind the impulse. It's how you pause before the angry email, how you choose to walk away instead of escalate, how you recognize that not every battle is yours to fight. But stillness isn't only external. It's not just stepping away from the world, it's stepping into yourself, into the deeper questions. What am I rushing toward? What pain am I avoiding? What truth am I not willing to sit with? When you embrace stillness, you stop outsourcing your peace. You no longer depend on perfect conditions to feel okay. You become your own calm, your own sanctuary, your own compass. And in a world spinning endlessly, you stand still, not frozen, but anchored. And from that stillness, you act, you choose, you lead. Because stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing from the right place. So ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for your phone? When did you last listen, not to reply, but to understand yourself? Maybe now is the time, not to fix everything, but to finally feel everything. That's the gift of stillness. It's not what you hear in the quiet, it's what you become in it. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius. Anger thrives in a mind focused on what's missing, what wasn't said, what wasn't done, what we didn't get, what we lost. But gratitude? Gratitude shifts the entire lens. It turns lack into enough. It turns pain into perspective. It turns reaction into reflection. Let's return to Eli, the man we met in part 2, who yelled at his daughter in a moment of stress. What changed him wasn't a punishment or a self-help book. It was a moment 2 weeks later when he quietly watched his daughter sleeping, peaceful, small, unaware of the world's weight. He whispered, "Thank you for this chance to be her father." In that moment, something cracked open. He saw what his anger had been covering. Fear of failure, of not being enough, of not being seen. And beneath that fear was love. Gratitude lets you see again. The Stoics understood this. They knew life wasn't about getting what you want, but loving what you have, even the pain, even the difficulty, because everything is a teacher. Every delay teaches patience. Every insult teaches self-respect. Every failure teaches humility. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Gratitude is not blind optimism. It's not pretending everything's perfect. It's choosing to focus on what's present, not just what's missing. It's saying, yes, today was hard, but I'm still here. Yes, they hurt me, but I learned something. Yes, things didn't go as planned, but maybe this is the path I needed. Try this. Tonight, before you sleep, write down 3 things that made you smile. Not big things, small ones. A warm drink, a kind message, a moment of silence. Make it a habit, because gratitude, like anger, is a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger it grows. And where gratitude grows, anger shrinks. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You become anchored in appreciation. You stop fighting everything and start accepting. And that doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. Gratitude doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up with full presence, with full heart, with full awareness of how much you already have. So the next time you feel anger rising, ask yourself, what am I forgetting to be grateful for right now? Because often, it's not the situation that's unbearable. It's our perception that's ungrateful. Shift the perception, and you reclaim your peace. The journey to emotional mastery isn't loud. It doesn't come from screaming or forcing the world to change. It comes from choosing a different way of being. One rooted in reflection, mindfulness, stillness, and gratitude. The Stoics weren't superhuman. They were simply human beings who trained themselves to pause, to see clearly, to respond with intention. And you can too, because every moment gives you a choice, to react or to reflect, to fight or to feel, to burn or to breathe. When you choose calm over chaos, stillness over stress, wisdom over wrath, you don't just change your mood, you change your life. And that's where true freedom begins. If this message resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need it. And comment below, what's one thing you're grateful for right now in this moment? You might be surprised how much peace follows that one simple thought. Thank you for listening.